Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the City Chatter Podcast. I'm John Bernstrom, Public Information Officer for the City of Grand Forks, and your host for the City Chatter Podcast, where today, on episode 37, we're joined by Grand Forks City Council member Rebecca Osowski, Ward 2. Rebecca, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
How's spring break treating you?
Well, I only have one child home this week.
Oh,
so,
it's not different in our house. I go to work every day. Spring break sounds fun.
Right.
You know?
It sounds fun to watch TV all day. And
That's right.
Hang out.
Doesn't happen in my house. Doesn't happen in my house. Well, Rebecca, since the last time we've had you on, there's some big things that have happened at a city government level.
Right.
Mainly, just north of Ward 2, potentially, a new potato processing plant. Hoping. Agristo, a Belgian company.
Correct.
Now, we referenced hoping. They've said we want to move to Grand Forks, but they haven't purchased any land yet. All the things that need to happen. But you're going to be part of a group that's going to head to Belgium to kind of see what their operations are like. When is that trip going to happen? That sounds kind of exciting.
I think in about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. We leave on the 30th, I believe, of this month, and we'll be there all week. I know that we'll have a few days of just touring the facility and speaking with the people at Agristo. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Do you have anything specific that's on your list? You're like, I need to check this part out.
I think the main reason for the site visit, I guess, in my head is one of the properties that they're thinking about purchasing is the Fufang land.
Right, in north end of Grand Forks.
Correct,
Yep.
which is right by my ward. There were a lot of concerns with Fufang about just the smell.
Sure. Factory stuff.
Correct. And so when I did speak with Agristo, they stated that their current facility in Belgium is located in the middle of town, and they have such high regulations on things like that they have the technology so that it doesn't create smell. And I think that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to learning about is just the different technologies that they use there to create a cleaner, more green plant.
That's really interesting because, I look on a map and there's like houses across the street.
Ooh, I haven't looked at a map yet to see exactly.
And the facility is large, but there's literally homes like across the parking lot.
Okay, that's what I was told.
Just curious, right?
Yeah, I'm curious about how that really works with residential and then a giant potato plant.
Right.
So
and this just for people watching, this one was interesting because the city didn't pursue them, the farmers did.
Correct.
And they've been working with farmers, and then they selected, and then it's just like, well, Grand Forks is, the logical spot when it comes to infrastructure they need. Right. I mean, you just can't put this necessarily out in the middle of a farm field because you need water and all that fun stuff.
Right. They need the infrastructure.
Right. It's just curious because lots of times when projects like this come forward, it's city-led, county-led, something like that. This was farmer-led. I thought it was interesting.
I would have really appreciated if the potato farmers, though, sought out an American company. I am not a huge fan of foreigners buying our farmland at all. I do think that it should be owned by American companies. So, but at this point, they are not, a foreign adversary. So I hope it works out, and I hope everything's good with it.
Yep. So for people to know, Agristo, based out of Belgium, they have factories in France. I think Italy is one. India is one. Evidently, India is a big market. My understanding is they have contracts with Walmart. So that's why
my understanding.
That's why they want to get to North America.
Right, and it's my understanding that they're not going to be competing with Simplot because they have.
It's a different potato.
It's a different potato. They have different customers, different lines of business. So I'm really hoping. I haven't heard from Simplot directly, but I have heard that they don't have an issue with Agristo. So I'm hoping that that's true.
Probably the only competition is farmers and land. Right. Yeah,
right.
That's probably the competition. But as far as their outgoing market, it's a different group.
Correct. I mean, I know that Agristo will be growing their own seed here. In the Northwest, and a specific potato. So,
very specific.
Yeah, they did a bunch of test plots.
They've been working here, I think, for like 3 years. Testing the ground.
I thought it was longer than that. I want to say it was like 5.
Oh,
I'm not
no,
sure.
could have been longer.
Yeah, I know that they've been running test plots in around our community
Yep.
for a while now.
In both
So,
Minnesota and North Dakota.
Correct.
Potato growing area
in
up
the
here.
in the Red River
Red River Valley. Yeah. All right. Well, so that's I consider that was exciting news, and right, meeting somebody from a different country is always kind of fun.
Right. I'm excited to go and check out the situation.
It is.
So.
Also, as a city council, I believe you are in the next couple of weeks going to start approving bid packages for the Ultra Sports Complex.
Yes.
That one is finally getting close to being there, at least initially, and also we're about this far away from being at budget.
Yeah.
That's
that far. That's what you say.
We started
like to say
this far. It's now like right there.
I disagree. I disagree that we're that close to the budget. And I mean,
last number I saw was $2 million apart.
$2 million, huh?
Yep.
You can say $2 million, but we can only bond for $100 million.
Oh no.
And then you add on the $10 million that Altru supposedly
exactly
gave
right.
us, so that's $110 million. The last numbers I saw was 115, so that's an additional $5 million. Not only that, we are pulling out of other funds to build all of the infrastructure out there. So what's that, an extra like $15, $20 million?
Sure,
and so
water, sewer,
I
stormwater.
disagree that we are within budget. And I really hope that we can get something within our budget, because until I see a number of 110 million, I'm not going to vote for it. But I'm really excited about it if we can build something for the community within budget. The budget is really my only concern.
But like you said, city can bond beyond 100.
Correct.
We can't.
Correct. But,
Right.
that doesn't make it right then to pull out of every which fund it's more than $110 million. We're not going to bond for the infrastructure or anything like that, but we are pulling out of other funds to support this project. And that's the part that I find really concerning.
If initial bids come in under and fill that, I said I saw somewhere 2 million, you said 5 million, whatever the number is, right? Does that change your vote?
As long as it's within budget.
Right. As long as it gets within budget.
Right, but $2 million isn't going to make me happy. I want to see it come in at budget.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
At budget or below budget.
But that's the big thing for you. It's not a matter of whether there's basketball courts or pickleball courts.
I'm not going to use that
right?
facility.
Right, but
and my kids aren't. But it's my job to make sure that we are fiscally responsible. Yep. And to me, it doesn't look very responsible when the city is pulling out of other funds to support this project. Not only that, we have $10 million that we gave to the Children's Museum. We gave them free land. We're paying for the infrastructure of that. That's a lot of money. Like, this entire little corridor is going to cost us a lot of money and way over budget of what the people actually voted on. So if we were just going to use that sales tax to support this, I'd be great with that. But we can only bond up to $100 million on that. And I think that should be it for the budget, unless, people like the University of North Dakota step up. I heard we got, like they said, $2 million to help with that deep well?
Understanding, they're paying for that. So the
Right.
pool's going to have a deep well that UND wants to use for
Right.
research and training and stuff like
Right.
that. So, my understanding is that carve-out is 100% them.
Right. I also haven't seen an agreement between us and the park board on operations, which is really concerning to me. Also, how will the University of North Dakota step up to the plate
Sure.
and help us with those operations? I know, I'm really proud of where we are at right now with the Alara Center. They're finally making a little bit of money so they can support themselves. And I just don't want us to go down that route with this when it comes to operations either. So I'd like to see some of those agreements and see how other entities plan on helping us out with this.
My understanding, the operations agreement is kind of waiting for see what the first bids come back at.
Right.
Like, is it something, like, do we need to go back to the drawing board? Stuff like that.
I think we do, but we'll see what happens in a couple weeks.
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, that one is.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of talk, lots of presentations to
Right,
council.
right.
As staff, I will say it's nice to finally see, it's been a lot of just informational. This is actually an action item, right? We're finally to an action item portion on it, which is
Right.
kind of nice.
Right.
I think. So this is, I've worked for the city of Grand Forks for 18 years. We have had meetings canceled for various reasons. There was no committee of the whole yesterday, and as we spoke beforehand, it's not the worst having a Monday off.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I enjoyed my Monday off.
I was home Monday by 5 o'clock.
Right.
It never happens. But so there was no committee of the whole meeting. So all items are going to move forward to the city council.
It'll be a big Monday.
It's going to be pack a lunch on Monday. We're going to be there a minute.
Maybe we should have like a little 15-minute recess.
There may be a recess in the middle of that one.
I have a feeling that it'll. I was kind of looking at it, maybe like 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9.
Yeah, I was gonna. If that one goes 3 hours, I'm not going to be surprised.
No,
not going to be surprised.
It's going to be a long day
It
next
is.
Monday. So that's why I wasn't too upset when we got this last Monday off.
One of the items that is currently on the city website, currently as part of the committee of the whole agenda that was supposed to be on Monday, so we listed everything there. You had asked for an overview of tax incentive programs the city participates in. Some of them are state programs.
Correct.
Some of them the city operates 100%. Others you got to go around to the other entities. So that information just for you, but for everyone else is sitting. It has all the century codes listed on there.
Nice.
Is on the city committee of the whole agenda for March 10th, even though the meeting was canceled. We posted all that information out there. Is there anything in particular? You had asked for this, I think is
Correct.
a very fair ask. We hadn't had a
Right.
presentation to the council in probably pre-COVID, right?
Right.
Was there anything in particular you were hoping to see, or you just wanted that overview of everything? Because it is a lot.
I think the main reason why I asked for the presentation is because I've received some emails from citizens stating that we're, not following the law properly, or we're doing things that we're not. Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Sure.
And we're all educated and we all understand, all meaning like the city council, the mayor, the city attorney, the citizens, and just make sure that we're all on the same page so we can move forward. Knowing kind of what the law states.
So this is really high level.
Okay.
Really high level, right? We're not breaking atoms here. But so you have pilots, which is payment in lieu of taxes.
Correct.
Pilot's actually an acronym. That's why it's always
Right.
capitalized when you
Yeah.
see it. That is, you can do up to 20 years on a pilot. And that is...
Well, that's a question that I have, but I hope that gets explained next Monday.
It is explained with it. I read through it real quick.
Yeah,
That one
I
you
have
can
some questions on that.
That one you can do 20 years. That is Memorial Village on campus as a pilot, because the land itself didn't have any, wasn't
Right,
taxed.
but
So that was a
I have
pilot.
some questions about some of those pilots that we've even passed previously. My understanding when I read through the state's pilot program that they have on the state website, it states that they need to be a primary sector business. And, we were out there, we were potentially even going to offer the casino a pilot program, and that's not a primary sector business. And so I just want to make sure that what we're doing is correct and make sure that the citizens are aware of what the right thing to do is.
Yeah,
So
sure. No, that's fair. It's private sector revenue generating. So they can generate revenue. That whatever casino or whatever
right,
would
that's not
generate
going to
revenue.
happen. So maybe in a couple of years.
I maybe got some insight at the legislature. There may try to be an amendment to bring that back this session.
I disagree with it. I
sure.
am
No, I-
not for that casino coming into our community at all.
There's
I'm
1,000 things that need to happen
Right.
before it gets here.
Right, and I'm very thankful that that wasn't brought in front of me again. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Oh,
but-
if you're on council long enough, I think whether the legislature make a change or whatever, I could see that coming back again.
I think so too.
I've worked
I
for
think
this
so
city
too.
for 18 years. This is the third time I think that tribe has come to city council.
Right.
With some form of plan. So
Right.
I would expect to see it in the future.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I'm sure that I'll see it again. It's a matter of when, and then we'll deal with that.
And there's some curious developments in Clay County in Minnesota.
in Clay County.
Yep, that's just outside of Moorhead.
Okay.
White Earth
Oh, White Earth. Okay.
bought
Yeah.
300 acres just outside of Moorhead.
Oh, did they?
They did.
Okay, so a different reservation.
Different
Okay,
reservation,
okay.
different state, apples and oranges.
Right.
But I think the same idea.
Okay.
think the
Okay,
same
I guess
idea.
I wasn't aware of that.
Happened
but-
last week.
Oh, wow.
happened last
Okay,
week.
Okay.
So, while I got you here, the weather didn't feel like it this morning as we were close to zero, but we're getting closer to summer road construction.
It's been so beautiful
know.
out though this week. Even last week, I've just been really enjoying the sunshine.
So I should say part of what's making the agenda long for the city council and the committee of the whole is a whole lot of engineering stuff, whole lot of approval of bids, whole lot of plans and specs
Right.
for summer road construction. I make jokes with people. The city's going to do a darn good job of cutting off the north end this summer.
Oh, then the South Enders won't be roaming around on my streets.
That's right.
I
We'll stay
guess.
off your streets. So there are three main crossings. I'm not counting the interstate. Three main
Okay.
crossings in the city between, frankly, the north end and the south end. The railroad tracks, right? So you got
Yeah, yeah.
Washington, you've got Columbia, and you got 42nd into MERS. 42nd into MERS, we know what we're doing in a couple of
Right.
years.
I'm excited about that.
Yep.
I think that's really important.
That was a nice move
Yeah.
by the governor last
Yeah, it
week to
was.
really help us out. We're closing Columbia this summer. We are
For the bridge, right?
we are openly closing it.
Good.
Like it is going to close on May 19th.
Good.
So you got to find a different route as
That's
you get
okay.
around town.
That's okay.
Don't worry, Washington, we're closing down to one lane in each direction. We're making it, you got to work to get around town this summer.
I'll just stay in my house.
So that Columbia Road, I think, is interesting. They're literally lifting the bridge. They're going to lift it, the entire deck.
That's crazy.
And there's 40 some bearings on it because as the bridge
yeah.
expands,
Yeah,
they're
they
replacing
kinda-
all of them.
I remember talking about that last time. I mean, I think that keeping our roads, our bridges in proper operating condition,
Yeah.
I think that's very, very important. And so I look forward to it. I mean, I think it's what the taxpayers pay
Yep.
for.
Yeah,
is to have
there's-
good roads.
There are.
I hit like 3 potholes on Washington on my way here, and my whole car starts shaking.
So there are just some of those essential functions, right? Picking up your
Right, I
garbage, police
agree.
protect. When it comes to
Right.
budget discussions, those are untouchables.
I
right?
agree. I agree 100%. And if I could take money away from other things and put it towards better roads and better infrastructure, I would.
We'll say this though, from a road standpoint, you weren't on the city council back when we passed the water and road sales tax. You probably lived. I'm not sure when you
No, I
moved
don't
back to
think so.
town. You weren't on city council. That
Okay.
happened in the 2016, 2017
Okay,
timeframe.
okay, yeah.
There was I say this is every spring there is a worst road in town. Right? It was 32nd a couple of years ago.
Okay,
right?
yeah, it
Absolutely
was,
terrible road.
it was.
It's been cherished. It was University Avenue a few years before that. Of
Yeah,
how
that's-
terrible the road is. And everyone
true.
agrees that's the worst road in town. The good thing is the road always moves because we always fix it.
Right, right.
I was talking with the mayor yesterday, and I go, "What's the worst road in town this spring?" It's not as bad now. Like the snows, you always said, "Well, wait for the snow." The snow is gone.
Yeah, I
What?
still think that there's always room for improvement.
Oh,
Like I
there's-
said,
oh, there's always room.
I mean, I hit 3 big potholes where the sewer caps are, you know, like the manholes.
Yeah, where in Washington?
Yeah, there's one, I think there's 2 right before you head under the underpass going south. And then I want to say I hit one, I feel like it's right over there by the underpass.
Sure.
You know, is like the worst part of it. So kind of on the north end where I live.
So just north of the work that they did last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
it's an
no,
older part of the road. Yeah, no,
Right,
don't get me
right,
wrong.
it is,
I'm,
it
I'm,
is.
I'm asking because I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's like 32nd a few years ago was almost undrivable.
Right, it was.
You couldn't drive on.
No, you couldn't. There were huge potholes
Yeah,
on that. And
Cherry
so,
Street in 2015 was undrivable. It was
believe that.
undrivable. University Avenue, right in front of University Park there. That one was really bad.
It was.
That one was really
now
bad.
that I think about
Right?
it.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it keeps moving. I guess I'm saying all this is sometimes you're chasing it.
That's okay.
Sometimes you're chasing it,
okay.
but you got to keep chasing
Well,
because you just can't stop. Well, that's too hard of a work. You got to keep chasing.
The weather here in North Dakota doesn't help us out at all. You know, with
Yesterday
the
alone was a 30-degree change from
right,
noon to 5.
Right, the freezing, the
Yeah.
thawing, you know, the rain.
Yep.
It's just, yeah, it's a never-ending battle, and that's just something that we have to deal with living
Yeah.
in this climate. And
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And being a council member to an older part of the
Right.
community, right? This is not like all roads are brand new up there. So the
No,
potholes, I think you got a
no.
bunch of mill and overlays in your ward this summer.
Okay,
I
haven't
think. I don't-
fully
I haven't
looked
looked
at
at the map.
that. Yeah, there are some pretty rough roads. We had one little community protest, one of our roads last year, that
Oh.
railroad crossing.
Protested it out.
Yeah, they protested it out. Was
Yep.
that 10th Avenue or maybe it was 8th? It was one. I think it was 10th.
10th Avenue.
Yeah, yeah, on
We
the
were
other-
gonna fix like 3 blocks, or not even 3 blocks, 2, but include
Right.
the railroad crossing.
Right, right.
Bad road. Yeah, I got protested out.
Yeah, it did.
That does happen every once in a while.
It
Yep.
does. But you know they do the best job that they can,
Yep.
and I mean, I think we still have better roads than other places. I went to Arizona a couple of years ago. We went to Lake Havasu, and their roads were garbage. Even their interstates were
Really?
garbage. Oh, they were so bad. I rented a car, and we were driving to the Grand Canyon, and I had just actually switched lanes, and I was so lucky that I did because I passed a pothole that would have swallowed that
Really?
entire car. Yeah, on
Really?
the highway. Yeah, I mean, their roads were garbage out there, so I was very happy.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was very happy to come home to North Dakota for our okay roads.
I just drive on our icy roads around here.
Right.
So I'm not sure if you're aware. March is Women in History Month.
I heard that. Was that just signed
Well,
by
I
the
don't know.
president? I don't think it's always been Women's Month.
I'm not sure. On Google, it is. so here's I pulled up 3 names that
Okay.
I thought were interesting. I
Okay.
didn't realize. I'm aware of the invention, not aware of how it originated.
All
Type
right.
deal, right? So we all have computers in our pockets, right? Right.
Right.
Computers are everywhere. This podcast is going out
I guess
because
those
of computers.
teachers were wrong about not always having a calculator.
That's
with
right.
You.
We always have the calculator's the least of our problems right now.
Right.
We all have computers. So going back to the first computer programmer, her name
Oh.
was Ada Lovelace. She was a mathematician in the 1800s, and she's credited with being the first computer programmer.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was really
interesting. Fun fact.
something that computers are everywhere.
Right, they are.
Can't
They
start
are.
my car without a computer right now.
No,
Yep.
it's sad times.
Right?
But, yeah.
So a woman was the first computer programmer. Mary Curie. I've heard if you're I like the show Big Bang Theory, so this name comes
Oh,
up.
okay. Yeah, I'm not a big
Yeah.
fan, but
Founded radioactivity. In fact,
Oh.
invented that word that led to cancer treatment. And because of that work, specifically on the medical side, not only was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize, she won it twice.
interesting.
She won it twice and was the first woman professor at University of Paris or something
Oh,
like
wow,
that.
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because of her work in radioactivity.
Interesting.
And then I got to bring up here in Grand Forks, we lost her this past year, Pat Owens,
Yeah.
the first female mayor in the city of Grand Forks, the only woman mayor we've had. You have daughters, I have a daughter.
Yes, I have
there'll,
3.
there'll be more down the road,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But Pat Owens, mayor of Grand Forks in the late 90s through the flood and everything, she was our first female mayor.
I remember her. I was young when the flood came, but
Yep.
I was actually digging through pictures, and I found the year of the flood. My mom, like, we thought it was so stupid at the time, but my mom made us like wear Santa hats and like hold these little Christmas trees. And that year, that was our Christmas card that we sent out, and I just
Oh,
found
really?
it. Yeah, and it was so like we're standing like in front of our big trash pile on the berm. Yeah,
That was a very Grand Forks Christmas card.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
And at first I thought it was so stupid, but I found it. I was like, oh, that's cute. What a memory.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
At the time, you're like, why are we taking this photo?
I want to say I was only like in 8th grade.
Sure.
And so it was an odd time. I think it was the first time that I ever saw or remember my mom crying.
Yep.
So,
Those were
yeah, it was crazy.
those were tough.
Yeah.
Those were tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Rebecca, thank you for joining us
Thank
in
you for
this
having
episode.
me.
Yeah,
It
no
was
problem.
wonderful.
We will see. I'll bring a pillow. You bring a lunch, right, for Monday. We're going to be there a while.
I think I'm going to copy Trisha Lunsky and bring a heated blanket like she does. She brings a heating pad to the council meetings and plugs it in.
And if we need a motion for a recess, we know it's coming from you at the end of the dais.
Right. I think we should just schedule one. Like
just schedule it in the agenda.
Give me a 15-minute break where I can get up and walk around. Because after 2
intermission.
hours, I get real antsy.
So we'll put intermission in for the broadcast. We'll just play music.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
We'll just do that. All right, Rebecca, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you want to catch this episode or other episodes of the City Chatter podcast, feel free to go to grandforksgov.com/podcast. You can see this episode, all the past ones. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.